Now let's use these functions to convert a date and timestamp. I'm going to take a look at the BRD viewer for a second. Okay, so I have two fields, order date and required date. What I'm going to do is show you how to format order date using the left and right functions and how to format required date using the split get item functions. Let's start with order date. When converting over timestamps, there are 3 steps to the process. First, you have to split the date and time using one of the pairs of functions I've shown you. Second, you need to format the date and time separately. Last, you bring them together again using a timestamp function. This converts the timestamp to a date-time data type. So let's do this one step at a time. First, the split. Creating my variable, I'm going to start with the date, which is in the left position. How many characters equals the date? Correct, 8 characters. Now for the time, which is in the right position. How many characters equals the time? Correct, 8 characters. Let's see how this looks thus far. Perfect. The split was successful. The next step is to convert the dates and times to their respective data types. Let's start with dates. When converting fields to a date data type, there are a few things to keep in mind. The BrainScript format you will use is field name .date parenthesis current date string format. Remember I said that with functions, sometimes you won't need a parameter to, and sometimes you will. This is one of those times you will need a second parameter. Inside the parentheses, you will need to use the date format coming into the input, not how you want it outputted. This will help the application recognize which part of the string is year, month, and day. LAE outputs dates according to ISO standard, CCYY-MM-DD. You will need to use specific format parameters when stating the current date time. These parameters can be found in the BrainScript help in Brie by clicking the Help toolbar drop-down and selecting BrainScript. Looking at the order date, what date format should I use? Keeping in mind the dates are UK dates. Correct. D/M/CCYY. Now, let's do time. When converting fields to a time data type, there are a few things to keep in mind. The BrainScript format you will use is field name .time parenthesis the current time string format. Inside the parentheses, you will need to use the time format coming into the input, not how you want to output. This will help the application recognize which part of the string are the hours, minutes, and/or seconds. You will need to use specific format parameters when stating the current time format. These parameters can be found in the BrainScript help in Brie by clicking the Help toolbar drop-down and selecting BrainScript. Looking at the order date, which time format should I use? Correct. HH:MM:SS. Let's see how this looks thus far. Perfect. My date and time has been converted. Last step is to bring the date and time back together to create the timestamp. This way it looks like it did when it first came into the node. To do that, I'm going to omit the variables together using the timestamp function. This function will take the 2 variable parts and create a date-time data type field. Now, when I use my timestamp function, within the parameters parentheses, I enter my 2 variable parts, the date first, followed by the time. Then I omit the field as a new order date time field. Now in real life, you might use an override omit statement to override the current order date field. But I want to show you the results of all this work. If we take a look at the BRD viewer, we see all our steps. First, we split using the left-right function. Then we converted date and time. Last, we combined the date and time into a timestamp. Our original string data has now been converted to a date-time data type. Now, let's do the required date field using the split get item functions. Okay, I want you to help me along. For the required date field, what should my variable say for the date part of the field? Correct. Now, what should my variable say for the time part of the field? Correct. You have now completed steps 1 and 2 of the process. Let's finish with step 3, creating the timestamp. What should the omit statement say? Correct. Now, let's see what this looks like. Perfect. First, we split using the split getItem functions. Then we converted date and time. Last, we combined the date and time into a timestamp. Our original string data has now been converted to a date-time data type. And that is how you format timestamps in your data.